just started to record all by itself. That's fantastic. Don't know what I done to make that happen. Okay, anyway, let's get on with the video, shall we? Right, welcome to Signs on Sunday. Welcome to Timsy's Naked Tarots. Don't worry, Timsy is not naked. As you can see, I woke up on the dark side. Yeah, the tarot reads are normally naked, but we're not doing a tarot reads because it's a Sign on Sundays, as I've already told you. We are doing Q today. Okay, I've gone down the mythical creature route for Q, and I am going for, here we go, it's going to be a pronunciation from hell. I'm sorry if I butchered it. If you are from Mexico, South America area, and you know how to pronounce this better, please do feel free to try to tell me in the comments how it's done. Okay, or the chat, because this is obviously going out as a premiere, so I'm live in the chat as you're watching this. Right, here we go then. Quetzalcoatl. Okay, Quetzalcoatl is a god. He's an Aztec god, maybe what's the other one? A Mayan god. Okay, so I know it's a bit way out there. I know you're thinking like, who's getting signs of this person, this god? Well, anyone could be. Okay, basically he is a god. My first thoughts when I started thinking about him is an Aztec god. I actually know this from watching various documentaries and things. It's not like I researched it just for this video on Signs on Sunday. I actually already knew of Quetzalcoatl, although I have looked into how to pronounce it better and things. And it's a feathered serpent, basically. That's what the god means. I think the word can be translated to serpent with precious feathers, or anything along those lines. I think the Quetzal bit is the feathers and the Cottle bit is serpent. Getting back to the signs and things. So I thought, yeah, he's a god. He's a snake. He's a bird or feather-like. So I thought flying. I thought knowledge. I'll tell you why I come to knowledge in a bit. As I said, I already know him from documentaries. I have this uncanny skill of being able to absorb information which apparently I will no longer need. Okay, if it's a useless bit of information, it's going to stick in my head forever. Luckily for me, though, I've actually turned this useless bit of information, which was in my head, into something more productive. This video, hopefully. Okay, so yeah, poisonous. Snakes are poisonous. Snakes are deceitful. And in the Bible, the snake tricked Eve into giving Adam the apple of knowledge. And that's where I get the knowledge from, because of it. It's slippery, but snakes aren't actually slippery. Those of you who keep snakes or have touched snakes in the past, you know that they are not actually slippery at all. Now, the feathers. I've covered feathers for F on this particular series. You can go and have a look at that for meanings of feathers and the like. Same sort of thing will be added to this for the feather side of the Quetzalcoatl. What else can I say? It's not actually that far a stretch of the imagination to have a snake with feathers. There are numerous records of dinosaurs, which by all intents and purposes were reptiles, although they were not actually classed as reptiles for various different reasons. But some of them had feathers, so why not have a snake that has feathers as well? Some ancient hangover from prehistoric times before the dinosaurs were made extinct and somehow managed to survive. Just like the Loch Ness Monster apparently is a plesiosaur. According to some people, I wouldn't know. I've never seen it. I haven't seen compelling evidence to tell me it actually exists, but I don't dismiss that it doesn't exist. And we're not doing the Loch Ness Monster, so we are going to move off that. So yeah, Just a quick recap there. I thought poisonous, deceitful, slippery, anything which goes with feathers from my previous video on feathers. I might put a link for it in the video or in the description. Knowledge and flight, obviously because of the feathers. So I then decided to have a look on the internet. I was not holding out much luck for this, but there was a little bit more than I expected. There wasn't outright signs of, okay, so if you see the spiritual meaning of or anything like that, but there was a lot of information which could give you directions into signs, okay, and then you could look into those sort of things. So it was a little bit better than I was expecting, which was great. It was a lot more better than orcs. I found no spiritual signs for orcs. I had to rely heavily on ogres for all that, which was my O one, by the way, if you are wondering why I was talking about orcs. So at best, it was sketchy. But there were some indicators of what the interpretations could signify. Firstly, creation. Okay, Quetzalcoatl was one of the I'm really stumbling today, aren't I? One of the creation gods. I think there was 4 of them from that area in their myths and their pantheon. It's called all the things about the gods. In Central America, South America, that sort of area. So we're sort of probably talking round about from North Texas down to, I don't know the cut-off point down south. Let's just say south of, it begins with A, Argentina. Okay, so the indigenous tribes, but mainly centered around the northern tropics and the equator, I would say, because that's where mainly the Aztecs, the Mayans, and all that were centered around, as far as I know. Again, if you're a historian watching this, or an archaeologist, or even just someone who is an avid researcher of these particular areas, feel free to drop in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong, or say, well done, you've done a little bit of homework. So yeah, so creation. So this would be covering things like new starts, retries and the like. So if you were talking tarot cards, it would be talking like the world, death, perhaps tower, because obviously before you can create something, you have to destroy what's already existing there. And when you actually look into a lot of the creation myths, there was some sort of destruction. What comes first? The most recent one I can think of was Noah's Ark. Okay, the destruction was the flood, and then the world was recreated again after the flood. Still didn't work, did it? Because we're in it now. So basically, Quetzalcoatl is also meant to be the ruler of the 5th age of the sun, according to the Mayans. The Mayans, obviously a people from South America, they made the big long clock, I think it was called, or long calendar, or whatever it was, which stopped on the 12th of December, no, the 21st of December, 2012. Okay, now a lot of people took that as the end of the world. No, it was just the time the new cycle began. As I've said in previous videos, I am not 100% on astrology. I don't even class myself as that field. Okay, but I believe round about that time, the age of Aquarius actually officially started. Okay, obviously I'm not entirely sure how the ages of the signs work. I believe it's something to do with Pluto traveling round through the signs, and the age actually starts when Pluto stops retrograding more into the previous sign and going direct in the current sign. So we left Pisces and went into Aquarius. It spent more time in Aquarius than it did in Pisces, or retrograded back into Pisces less than it stayed in Aquarius. And I believe that's how the ages of the zodiacs work. Again, if you're an astrologer, an astrologist out there, and you want to put me right on that, feel free. As I've said before, I'm not one of them. I don't know it inside and out like you lot do. I just have a rough grip of how it works. So what else can we say about Quetzalcoatl to get Quetzalcoatl to get some signs and synchronicities for you? Among the Aztecs, he was related with the wind, Venus, sun, merchants, crafts, arts, and knowledge. Knowledge, you see, and learning. Okay. So if you take the wind aspect, this would indicate changes coming. Okay, so maybe not the great creation change I was talking about earlier, but smaller, minor changes. So perhaps if you see a feathered serpent somehow, maybe you're looking at a snake that has died half eating a bird. Okay, so it's feathers and serpent. It might still be alive, and you're just watching it sit there trying to eat a bird. Now, if that was your sign, it could be saying that there is some sort of smaller change, a personal change for you coming, or perhaps you've already started going through it. So, because like the winds of change and the like. With the merchant aspect, it could be talking about selling and buying and stocks and shares and things like that. If you are a trader, setting up a trade, thinking of going into business by yourself, thinking of changing jobs, anything like that, it could be some indication of that. Especially if you create your own goods, if you are going into a trade where you're making your own stuff and then maybe selling it on Etsy, eBay, wherever you want to sell your chosen platform, then yes, it could be a sign for that. Perhaps seeing a feather I'm lost in my notes. I'm so sorry about this. Perhaps seeing a feather, and then I don't know what I've actually put there, could be saying that you have knowledge. Okay. Oh, snake. Is snake. Perhaps seeing a feathered snake. That's what we're dealing with, feathered snakes. God, sometimes I'm terrible. I should really write my notes out neater. Could be saying that you have knowledge, that you're meant to proceed with something. You have the knowledge to do it, go ahead with it. So it's like time to go ahead with it. A little bit like the Wheel of Fortune or the Magician. The time is right. The energy is there. Everything is ready for you to go. All you have to do is take the steps and go. It actually reminds me of my last tarot read I just done. I didn't just do it. I done it a day or so ago. Okay. So yes. One of my initial thoughts was of knowledge, okay? And this was, as I've already said, coming from the fact that the snake in the biblical tale of Eden tricked Eve into eating the apple of knowledge, or tricked Eve into making Adam eat the apple of knowledge, and that's where we got knowledge. Quetzalcoatl also gave knowledge to the people, okay? He was a snake. Half snake, feathered snake, whatever you want to call him, still a snake. Now, I'm not trying to get religious or biblical or anything like that with any of you. I'm just literally relaying things I found on the internet and adding a bit of my own in as we go. Now, yes, it could be the fact that we were tricked into having knowledge, which has created the world we now currently live in. It's not the nicest of worlds for most. It's bearable for some, and the elite few don't even know about the rest of it. Okay, so let's move on before I get flagged for some reason. Venus in modern astrology is linked with love and money. And again, if you are an astrologer, you can tell me otherwise if you would like, which goes hand in hand with the trade in arts and craft. You have to have love and passion for your arts and craft, and you need money to trade. Okay, you need money to buy your materials for your arts and craft, and then you can sell it, and that'll be trading. The sun is seen as a symbol of enlightenment and divine wisdom, as well as a creator. Okay, prophets and divine figures, all of which is associated with Quetzalcoatl, or the legends of Quetzalcoatl, or the pantheon of Quetzalcoatl. Okay, because there are some stories that he was not a god, he was just a man. He's not the Messiah, he's just a very naughty boy. Okay, so, sorry, Bunny Python just slipped out of me there. Oh, Python, there you go. That's everything has a meaning for someone. Okay, in the literature I found about Quetzalcoatl, he covers all those aspects of what the sun means as well. Okay, he was also associated with immortality and resurrection. This is possibly due to the links of the sun setting each night and rising again each morning, like a lot. Well, I say we don't know. We don't know this is why. This is what the archaeologists and the scientists and the academic community assume, because they assume that the people back then were very, very primitive and backwards. So they assume that they didn't understand that we were going around the sun, and that's what caused it to set at night and then wake or come up again in the morning. But yet they were smart enough to track eclipses. They were smart enough to make the long clock, the cycle that ended in 2012, which also coincided with the start of the age of Aquarius. Really, were they that backwards and primitive? Just to us, our concept of what backwards and primitive is. Perhaps they were very enlightened and in tune with the world, unlike we. Okay, so yes, it could be that's why Quetzalcoatl is linked with immortality and resurrection, that the sun is immortal in a certain sense. It will always rise every morning, and it will always set every night to rise the following day until something drastically bad happens, and well, we probably won't be around to know about it. Okay, so yeah, I've lost track. I've gone off on a little tangent. I've lost track of where I am in my notes. So that could be your sign as well, that a cycle is coming to an end and a new cycle is beginning, because you can never have a new cycle beginning until the old cycle has ended. Okay, actually that is not true. They do overlap. Okay, you can have 3 or 4 different cycles on the go, all for various different energies, but normally one energy needs to finish doing what it's doing before it will restart again. So if you dream of him, and when I refer to him or he, I am referring to Quetzalcoatl, just as, although I think I'm getting my tongue around it at last, unless of course I pronounced it wrong right at the start, and then I just keep pronouncing it wrong all the way through. If you dream of him, it can mean that you have found a truth that you had been seeking the answer for. Okay, possibly indirectly or directly, maybe intuitively you know the truth, and dreaming of Quetzalcoatl is that confirmation that you are right. That's sorry, I should rephrase that. These are quite specific, these dreams. That's if you see an image of him on a coin. Okay, if that coin is silver, this means you shouldn't worry about what you have found out, because you are. It says in the literature that you have special protection. I'm going to convert that into you have divine protection, okay, or spiritual protection, because that's what we deal with on this channel. Okay, we don't have to call it special protection because we're dealing with the divine and the spirits. Okay, if you see him on your or in your dreams with a musical instrument, specifically a grand piano. Again, I told you these dreams are quite specific, these meanings. This would indicate that you are on the right path for prosperity and good luck. If you dream of him in his golden armor, talking about current affairs or a current situation you happen to be in, this means that he has actually given you, bear in mind, he is a god. Okay, so he's actually visited you in your dream and has given you information that you need, or possibly has given you a prophecy that you are meant to spread. Okay, my last thoughts, which are actually kind of been percolating and formulating why I was going through all this for you on the video, is he's a snake and a bird. Okay, he's feathered and a snake. And I suddenly thought of what is recognized as the medical symbol. Okay, it's normally like a staff with two wings on the top and snakes going round it. Okay, now the snakes would symbolize grounding, earth. They are very grounded and part of the world. And the feathers or the wings would indicate flying, knowledge, and the spiritual side of things, and possibly even your intellect. Now, the snakes and the feathers, or in this particular case, the wings, all culminate in having a combination of both of them. You are grounded, but you are within spirit, basically. You have communication with spirit, but you are firmly and utterly grounded. So you're not like a nutcase or anything like that. Now, the fact that I suddenly started thinking of medicine and the medical symbol could be that if you dream or have signs of Quetzalcoatl, there could be some sort of medical issue going on with or around you. Perhaps you have stumbled across some sort of new super cure, but you don't realize it. Okay, so that's where we're going to wrap it up. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. You've had a little giggle at me butchering a South American word. Okay, I would just put it out there. I struggle with my native language, let alone Spanish, Latin, or any other derivatory from that area. Okay, because obviously it's not just Spanish and Latin. They will have their own local dialect mixed in with the Spanish when the Spanish came over and things. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you had a little giggle at me and you've got a smile on your face for the rest of the day. At least that's something good come from it all. Yeah, if you have any comments, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the comments if you are watching this as a recording later on. And obviously, whatever letter we are doing next after Q will be my next week's one. If you have any suggestions for that, please feel free to drop it in the comments or the chat. And I will happily look into it and weigh it up with my other ones. If I get enough people saying the same thing, I will do it. If not, I will revert back to what I'm having planned for it anyway. Okay then. So thank you very much. Hope you all have a wonderful Monday, as I'm actually doing this one on a Monday because over here in England it's a bank holiday. So I thought I would take a little bit of time off on Sunday and do it on Monday instead. That's why it's on a Monday. And we'll be back to Sundays next week like normal. Okay, so hope you have a wonderful week and catch you all soon.